All right, good morning once again, everybody. Welcome back to another episode where we are talking about 10 of the trending articles in the crypto news space. As always, link down in the description that you can follow where you can find access to all the articles talked about today. And thanks to all those who have subscribed. I really do appreciate it. My name is John, and let's dig into everything. Hope you got yourself a big old cup of coffee. So, first up on the docket today, we got to talk about Ripple a little bit and their aims to become the Amazon of crypto. I mean, that's a goal. That is a goal. Very large, very successful. It's been hit a lot in the past for negative work conditions in its warehouses, but yeah, it's kind of one of those weird things where I don't want to be like they're awful, they're horrible, because I've never worked in one. I've never had personal experiences. When you have a company that big, you're obviously going to have negative experiences across the board, but they seem a little, they're not perfect. But they are a huge, wildly successful company, and it's a good goal to have, especially for Ripple. So, the much talked about and debated blockchain firm Ripple is now planning to expand its use case far beyond just streamlining cross-border payments in partnership with national and international banks. For those of you who don't know, the current international wire transfer system can take up to a week. It's very expensive. It's very archaic. And so Ripple's aim is to streamline it, make it quicker, make it faster, make it cheaper, and that actually removes a lot of friction points in international trade. So it's a very strong use case, and it's why Ripple has done so well. So Ripple has focused solely on this for the past 5 years, but then old Brad Garlinghouse joined the company as the new CEO. Under his leadership, they seem to have come to realization that their core value lies in XRP and the Ripple blockchain, not just in the use case that it provides. So basically, he's coming in and being like, you know, we can do more with this coin than just this, right? So the head of Ripple's developer efforts said they were moving from writing checks to writing code, which is implying that the company is trying to go big on promoting the creation of new applications for the network. And Garlinghouse is quoted as saying, Amazon started as a bookseller and just sold books. We happen to have started with payments. 2 years from now, you're going to find that Ripple is to payments as Amazon was to books, which I think is a pretty darn good way of putting it. Amazon did start out as just a bookseller, and as they expanded and grew and found new use cases, they saw meteoric growth, and that's the plan that Ripple has. They know the protocol works. They know it works well. They know it has a good, strong base use case. So just by starting with that, they've already got a leg up on a lot of new projects. You know, they're already successful, so it's just finding out different ways that they could be successful. And they've got the money, they got the capital that they can experiment, try 10 things, knowing that 5 to 9 of them won't work. And then the remaining 1 to 4 that do, you simply increase your investments into developing and marketing them, throwing your weight behind them, and you can see some pretty good success. So this is something to watch out for. Ripple seems to be the giant which is waking. It's currently number 3 by market cap. I know in the past it actually flipped Ethereum for a short period of time and became number 2. But I think that was back in like 2017, 2018. So it's been a while. But this bad boy's got the potential to be pretty big. Pretty darn big. I don't want to... Possibly it could one day be bigger than market cap wise than Bitcoin. That's not to say Bitcoin's going to disappear, but just the use case of Bitcoin is as a store of value. And if the use case of this is actual usage, and that usage causes XRP to, you know, be used in the amount of different venues that it would take to become the Amazon of the cryptocurrency world, its market cap could be functionally greater than Bitcoin. But a lot, and I mean a lot, of things have to go right for that to happen. So we will see. But hey, let's pop on over and talk about YAMs. So the YAM finance protocol broke like broke. So, a bug in the hastily developed contracts for YAM Finance resulted in the governance contracts being permanently broken and around $750,000 worth of Curve tokens locked away from use. Andre Crone, DeFi developer and founder of the YARN protocol, told Cointelegraph that this resulted in a bugged rebase function. So YAM is supposed to be a stable coin, kind of like Ampleforth, where the contracts create or destroy supply-based tokens to maintain a dollar. So they kind of like bounce back and forth and do their best to maintain a dollar. And there was a crap ton of bugs. The rebase function kept exponentially increasing the supply. Then there's an additional, mechanism that's used to supposedly balance the price, but the proceeds of that got moved over to the treasury. And then there's like a protocol in the governance system that requires a percentage of all tokens be committed to a proposal in 12 hours. And so they like did a vote, and it just like went back and forth. And at the end of the day, the end result is both the governance and the treasury are now quote unquote bricked. So basically they can't be accessed, and they can't fix the bug without access. So the project's probably dead, or at least its existing smart contracts and tokens. So yeah, this is the risk that you face, unfortunately, when you buy into these very new projects. It's been a while since we've seen one flame out this quickly that wasn't intended to be a scam. We'll see what YAM can do, but man, that is rough. There have been a lot of articles over this because like it developed like, hey, there's an issue, and then like back and forth, like there were votes, and then they thought they saved it, and then the second bug seems to have resulted in its death after all. So it's been quite a journey with YAM. If you're curious to learn more, definitely check out Cointelegraph. I will give them props on this. They've covered the story pretty darn well from start to finish, but it just stinks. Granted, thankfully it was a stable coin and not like, a like Ethereum or Chainlink type project where people still probably lost a good chunk of money because of YAM. I believe its value dropped to 0, which when you have a stable coin that you're planning on being $1, definitely sucks. So heart goes out to all y'all who have YAM, if any of you have YAM. But yeah, stinks for them. Today, let's move on over and talk about Tron. Oh, Tron. Specifically the BitTorrent network. So peer-to-peer file sharing service BitTorrent and its little brother uTorrent have now been downloaded more than 2 billion times across various platforms. Last year, the network counted for 3% of all downstream and 28% of all upstream traffic across the internet. And old Justin Sun is hinting that BitTorrent would soon be releasing new products. We look forward to fulfilling our mission of improving the protocol and introducing new use cases such as decentralized file storage and live streaming products. For those of you who don't know, BitTorrent was acquired by Justin Sun's Tron Foundation in July 2018 for about $140 million, we think. At the time, the service was said to have 170 million users. In early 2019, it launched the BitTorrent token to incentivize users to hold files on the network, which would increase overall download speeds. I have some BitTorrent tokens, like they got airdropped to me somehow. I don't know why. I have them. They're essentially worthless. They're less than... They're not even half a cent. They're like... Let's see. Move that decimal point over twice. It's a change. They're like... It's not good. It's like 4/100ths of a cent. It's almost nothing. But as always, there's quite a bit of controversy when talking about anything with Tron, and I've touched on it in a few other videos. So I'm just going to kind of read through this and then give my perspective. So, as with many projects Sun is involved with, This is very true. The platform has been involved in controversy. Everything he does is involved in controversy. He is a troll. Like, he just is. That's fine. Some believe that the file sharing service BitTorrent file system copied elements from the interplanetary file system, which came to a head after a recent rebranding of the BTFS logo into something strikingly similar to the IPFS logo. Yeah, the IPFS logo is a green cube with IFPS or IPFS on top of it, and the BitTorrent file system is a blue cube with BitTorrent file system listed next to it. So the IPFS founder, Juan Benet, called them out immediately, saying Tron can't even think of an original logo. And then Vitalik Buterin chiming in, stating, this tweet is honestly painful to read. It's like looking at a zombie. The account looks like something you've grown up with and known and loved for 15 years, but underneath it, it's just, now it's just another appendage of the Sun dictatorship. So Vitalik was not pulling any punches with Tron. I've said this before and I've said it again. Original ideas don't happen very often. But if you're going to steal things, cite your sources. It's just another instance of Tron and Justin Sun engaging in behavior that will lead to short-term success, but I don't know if it will lead to long-term profitability. Because as we enter into an era with more cross-chain collaborations, if the key figure for the number 2 cryptocurrency in the space is calling you a dictatorship, it's kind of hard to work with that blockchain. I mean, it's not possible. Ethereum is very big and Vitalik is just one man, but it's not a good look. It just isn't. But let's hop on over and talk about Cardano. Just a smidge. So as we know, it's transitioning from Byron to Shelley. It's coming to an end. Input-Output Hong Kong, or IOHK, is already working in parallel on the next phase of the roadmap. They announced yesterday the launch of the Decentralized Governance Program Project Catalyst as part of the 5th and final phase of Cardano Voltaire. During this phase, to be known as Fund Number 1, a group of 50 volunteers will help design the program structure. The idea for Voltaire is eventually to have voting rights and a treasury. So it'll transform Cardano into a self-sustaining system. With the voting and treasury, network participants will influence future development of the network with their shares and voting rights. So you're able to vote for proposals on the network to be funded by the treasury, which is funded by partial transaction fees. So for staking on the network, you get the bulk of transaction fees. I don't know what the percentage actually is. Let's say it's 90%. But then 10% of all the transaction fees go to this treasury, which then the community can vote on projects to fund for development purposes. So pretty interesting. Definitely the first of its kind that I'm aware of that's on track to be released pretty successfully. But according to IOHK project manager Dor Garbesh, the system will start with an initial balance in ADA of 8 million USD. The question, according to him, is whether the community is able to manage the funds fairly and effectively. Basically just being like, we don't know, but this is the only way we're going to find out. I like that attitude. Yeah, we don't know how this is going to go. Cardano is truly blazing a trail, but if it's successful, it's going to be a big one. They're going to be fighting with Chainlink for number 5 in market cap, which actually leads us over to article number 5 here in just a second. But again, I do hold Cardano. I love this network. I am very biased towards this network, so please take everything I say with a huge grain of salt. But God, buy this coin. Like, everything I've read, everything I've researched over the past 3 years, I love this coin. It's one of my favorites. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm doing this for fun. Please, 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 please don't take my word for it. Don't buy Cardano because I told you to buy Cardano. Buy Cardano because I told you to. You went and you did 2 weeks worth of research. You listened to other YouTubers talk about Cardano. You asked your friends who are in crypto about Cardano. And you just kind of like followed its development path. Like, don't Don't do something just because of me. Do your research and know that this is high risk. Okay? Cool. All right, let's hop on over and talk about this meteoric rise of Chainlink. It's now top 5 crypto asset by market cap, and there's a lot of different reasons why it has risen this high. So, past 24 hours, Chainlink has gone up another 30%, and this, as well as some of the other rises, seem tied to the demand from yield farmers trying to get their hands on, well, what at the time was YAM tokens with this much type new protocol that then crashed and burned. But Chainlink has been partnered up with DeFi pretty strongly throughout the year. There's also been competition for just the number 5 spot in general. Link finally cinched it, spilling out Bitcoin Cash to the number 6 spot. Chainlink has been making partnerships and integration announcements nonstop throughout the year. The biggest one was the Blockchain Service Network that China is developing, which is truly massive. We've talked about it on the channel before, and I'll definitely update you if more articles start coming out of it. But essentially what this network does is China wants to make it like a one-stop shop for developers to program on multiple different blockchains and basically be an incubator for development. So it's a very interesting project, and honestly, it's pretty insane. I do not like China's policies or government style, but they know how to build a crypto network. They are moving. So, yeah. So it's been doing that but Chainlink partnered up with all these DeFi projects is definitely a big part of it. Pretty much all DeFi apps require some sort of like data feed. And they want like a preferably decentralized one and all this stuff, but lack of this can lead to a bunch of problems. But Chainlink is the best known player for off-chain oracles that can provide that necessary data feed into DeFi projects. It's winning the most from the growth in the DeFi space, though there is now additional competition. And even major crypto exchange OKEX is getting into the crypto game. Interesting. There's also the BAN protocol, the DIA protocol, that are all trying to like muscle in on this, but Chainlink is the industry leader. They've got the first mover advantage. They're making their partnerships, their integration. So Chainlink, honestly, just overall has had a fantastic year because of multiple things. And it's kind of like fueling itself. You know, they're doing so well, they're getting attention, they're doing these things, they're making these announcements, their social media capital is rising, and that's just triggering everything. Honestly, I'm just like, when is it going to have a pullback? Because it is just going nuts. It's going to be chipping away at Tether's heels before too long if they keep this up. I'm really happy for all those of you who hold Chainlink. I never bought into it. I always thought it was kind of scammy. And I gotta admit, I was wrong. I just didn't understand its potential. That's what I get for, I only ever heard about it on like lower tier websites that I'm not gonna mention on this channel that, you know, back when I was like 16 and 17, I never paid it like much attention. So it's kind of crazy to see just how far this has come. But yeah. So that was the first 5 articles. So stand up, take a stretch, and then let's hop into number 6 right here. All right. Well, here, let's hop into article number 6. Talk about Grayscale, specifically with how they relate on over to Ripple. So for those of you who don't know, we've talked about Grayscale. I think this is the 3rd day in the row. The build-up and then disappointingness that was their crypto ad. But they are the world's largest digital asset firm. They published an update on XRP. They wrote via Twitter that XRP has the potential to capture a considerable part of the $2 trillion global payments market. I agree with them. That's actually why we talked about it in the first article of the day, with how they're looking to expand. But as this name suggests from an article they published entitled An Introduction to XRP, it contains a detailed explanation on the characteristics of this asset, and according to them, it was designed to address the liquidity problems that financial institutions are facing today. Additionally, they, stated development of XRP is supervised by Ripple, which we all know. For this reason, because of this, Grayscale comments the adoption of the digital asset has increased and will continue to increase, and they're actually doubling down on the bet. So, consistent with its report, the digital asset management firm has increased its investment. Grayscale regularly publishes updates on these investments, and according to the most recent one yesterday, of the 5.2 billion in total assets under management, 7.2 million has been allocated to the Grayscale XRP Trust. The Bitcoin Trust has $0.7 billion in it, so it makes up the vast majority of it. But XRP is not doing too bad. So at the beginning of July this year, Grayscale actually had 2.7 million in the XRP Trust, so it over doubled, like 2.5 times, 160% increase for the fund in XRP. So that's showing Grayscale is willing to invest a bit more because they're confident in the space. Though keep in mind they can be wrong. Currently, they've got $80.1 million in an Ethereum Classic Trust, which they're having struggles. Their Ethereum Trust, just regular Ethereum, is 750 million currently. So Bitcoin and Ethereum make up the large bulk of this $5.2 billion. In fact, I think someone's math is a little bit off because 4.6 plus 751 is already like 5.2. So the remainder of their assets probably make it push it closer to 5.3 in my opinion. But to each their own. Whatever. But pretty interesting. Grayscale's putting a lot of trust in Ripple. Ripple's putting a lot of trust in itself. So we'll see who else is going to buy in. And here, let's talk about this. The article is about Cardano specifically, but I wanted to include it because it applies to any staking or like a miner that exists in space. So people are trying to build businesses around specifically Cardano's functionality, but any proof of stake protocol is starting to see this. So in a recent Cointelegraph interview, Arparna Ju, a project director at IOHK, opinioned that even at the current stage of its development, the platform is just much more than a wallet. She noted Cardano is already contributing to the gig economy as pool operators are creating businesses around staking pools. And she's quoted as saying, this could be a way of the future where you could be at home and run a proof of stake protocol and you can earn some rewards from it. A lot of our pool operators are doing just that and trying to figure out how to help them make a business out of it. So to me, it's already started the success for Cardano and a proof of stake system. This is kind of one of the big things behind having this proof of stake. If you want to run a node, maintain a server, have other people delegate to your contract, it's definitely something that is completely doable for a lot of us if you have some knowledge of like coding and things like that. And it is also a good secondary income. Like honestly, I own Cardano. I'm going to be staking Cardano on, Daedalus when the epochs have rolled around and we're finally producing. And I'm not going to be able to leave my full-time job, but I would like it to be a good long-term source of income that, as Cardano grows and develops, so will the amount of money that I earn from it. And eventually I can use that money to, live, buy groceries. Don't get me wrong here. The amount of Cardano I have is gonna net me maybe $500 a year based on current prices. Actually, no, it's gonna be far less than that. Maybe $300 a year based on current prices, maybe. But if it increases, hey, good on me. I'm gonna be doing pretty good. I'm not gonna be able to retire. Like a 10x of Cardano would mean I'm making maybe $3,000 a year. It would have to 100x before I would even be like, well, I could technically live off of it if I didn't have a wife and a child. But and that's why a lot of people are doing this, because if you run a staking pool and you can have a successful one, and you can earn, by running this pool, you can end up with, 3 or 4 or 5 million ADA locked into your pool, or any of these proof of stake protocols. You can end up with that amount locked in. For running the stake pool, you get a fee. So let's say 10% rewards are earned, you take a 2% cut out of everyone's rewards, so the other person gets 8%, but they don't have to worry about managing anything. And of that 2%, it costs you 1% of everyone's income to run your quote-unquote business. Then that's 1% in profit on a million. That's still a decent amount. It's not going to be enough that you can retire on, but it is a good side source of income, just like everything else. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Proof of stake protocols, a lot of people are really interested in them for the potential in this. I know Chainlink's talked about going proof of stake. Tezos is a really good one that does it right now. Cardano will be soon. Ethereum 2.0, when the transition finally happens, and their proof of stake, I think that's going to make it wildly successful. I'll try to get into the Ethereum game a little bit. I know there's certain protocols where even if you don't have 32, you'll be able to contribute and stake. So I'll be looking into those myself. Be pretty interesting to see. But hey, let's hop over to article number 8 and kind of touch on the fact that Ethereum fees surged to about $1,200 today. Fees obviously have been rising due to unprecedented demand for DeFi. And the DeFi exchange Uniswap accounts for the highest fees paid at $3.1 million. So transaction fees on Ethereum, they reached this unprecedented level for some traders, not everyone, fueled by a rise in DeFi projects and a new initial coin offering, which I guess happens. So Josh Rager, founder of the crypto trading platform Blockroutes, he pointed this out on Twitter that he was trying to buy into the MYX network, and he happened to notice that for 1 Ethereum, his gas fees were $1,292.20, which is more than that stimulus check that single adults got. So as it turns out, the MYX token had a pretty specific smart contract issue that caused it not to accept transactions below a certain threshold, and that's what pushed it into this astronomical territory. For those of you who don't know, gas works as fuel for the Ethereum network, so it's the fee that is paid to miners to execute a trade. That's quite the fee. I'm sure there's some pretty happy Ethereum miners out there for people who didn't pay attention to their gas and sent that much Ethereum. Dear Lord. But while fees have since dropped to less than 200, the average fee for an Ethereum transaction is about $6 as of press time, but it can reach that $200 mark based on the speed you want for your transfer and the liquidity it provides to whatever DeFi project or network. It's pretty darn freaking high for a network that wants to become like the world's next monetary system. Ethereum is it's pushed up against the wall. They got the Medallia testnet ongoing. They need to drop phase 0 of Ethereum 2.0 so we can see some progress, because otherwise Cardano, Tezos, Chainlink at this point are going to start looking more and more attractive because they can do things quicker and faster. That's all I'm really going to say about that. But dang, that is an expensive Ethereum transaction, dear Lord. But yeah. All right, so Germany, we're getting close to the end here. I wanted to touch on Germany for a second. So the Federal Ministry of Justice and Consumer Protection, along with the Ministry of Finance over in Deutschland, has announced a publication of a draft law to promote blockchain technology, which provides for the introduction of electronic securities. So the current law requires that securities be securitized in a document. Once this is achieved, a certificate of value is issued that functions as a contact point for the transferable facts under German property law. So in this way, the law ensures that there is traffic protection for potential buyers. By introducing this new blockchain-based law, German authorities seek to guarantee the marketability of financial assets. So in addition, the law will ensure compliance in a more effective manner. So they're trying to streamline it and make it more attractive because regulators are concerned that advancements from other countries have made in respect to legislation, regulation, implementation of blockchain technology for issuing electronic securities. And Germany wants to maintain its attractiveness as a financial center, so it's viewing this law as a necessary thing it needs to push out so it can update their security process, which I'm a big fan of. Please, absolutely, update your thing based off blockchain. It's amazing that this was impossible just over 10 years ago. This technology didn't exist, and we have major countries passing laws to adopt it. It's insanity to me. I hope that's not lost on all of you. Not too much to say about this other than good on you, Germany, but dang, that is impressive. And then rounding out things with number 10, so Bitcoin-backed US dollar loans are coming for Coinbase. So they announced that eligible customers in 17 out of 50 US states will soon be able to get these loans collateralized by their Bitcoin holdings. Coinbase announced via a blog post that starting this fall, U.S. customers in selected states would be able to borrow cash using Bitcoin held in their Coinbase accounts, up to 30%. So if you own one Bitcoin and Bitcoin's worth $10,000, you can borrow up to $3,000 from them. Pretty interesting. And then you can either pay them back, or if you can't pay them back, they'll just take your Bitcoin. You know, the standard stuff. Nexo protocol already does this. We've talked about Nexo on the channel a few times. They actually have their dividend coming out here, I think in 3 days, 2 days? I don't know. Time is malleable at this point. But it's an interesting idea. The annual percentage rate is 8%. You have to pay interest each month and repay your principal within a year. So not too bad, honestly, for a personal loan. You just have to pay the interest, and then once you can, pay off the rest or within a year. Obviously, Coinbase is expanding its product offerings just a smidge to compete and to grow. Talk about someone who wants to be the Amazon or something. Coinbase is well on their way. They're one of the few fiat exchanges in the U.S., though that number is growing. They've got first mover advantage because they were the first major creditable one. So it's kind of interesting to see that they're offering these loans. It's going to be very attractive to some people who either A, need cash in these uncertain times, or B, want to borrow $3,000 and then invest it in, say, Chainlink because they think it's going to increase. Now that carries with it some pretty hefty, and I mean hefty risks. So do everything very, very carefully and don't just hop into one of these things. But this is probably going to be pretty successful for Coinbase. We'll just have to see how it goes. But all right, you've made it to the end. That was 10 of the trending articles in the crypto news space. Popping on over to CoinMarketCap, taking a look at things. Bitcoin is pretty flat today, 11.5. Ethereum's up 2.24%, getting close back to 400. I'm hoping it can surmount it. Chainlink's up 14.43% on the day in the number 5 spot, sitting just shy of $17. XRP's down 2%. Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, both down 1.7%. Litecoin's down, and Litecoin's pretty flat. Cardano's up by just over 0.5%. And Tezos is back in the number 10 spot, $4.27, kind of flat. Taking a look at everything in the top 20, we don't have anything too crazy. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit and see if we find anything crazy. Oh yeah, Algorand's up 26%. Good on them. Theta's up almost 10. Waves, what in the world was Waves doing? Because they're up 40% and Swipe's up 37%. Good on both of them. So yeah, that will do it for the day. If you've made it this far, please, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. I'm very happy with how things are going, whether you found me on YouTube or on any of the podcast apps that I distribute this to. I really do thank you for your time. It's been really cool watching things develop, and I've enjoyed interacting with you guys in the comments on YouTube. If you find me in the podcast, you can, link down in the description is to the whatever the current YouTube video is, because that has the actual links to all the articles talked about. I did it that way because when I included all the articles, some podcast apps didn't properly format things, so stuff got a little wonky and it was confusing for people. So that's why I went that route. But yeah, no, I appreciate all of you watching, and I'll be talking to you guys again tomorrow, more than likely. Stay safe, stay smart, and best of luck.